Dan Kilpatrick column, why did Arsenal, Spurs and West Ham struggle for striker? London's leading clubs scrambled to improve their squads in the final days of the transfer window. One thing was clear, this is a particularly tough market for signing strikers. Tottenham are perennially a centre-forward short and finished another transfer window with Harry Kane as their only recognized senior striker. Spurs have gone into 3 of the past 7 seasons without like-for-like cover for Kane, and head coach Antonio Conte will have to make do with winger Steven Bergwijn if the England captain's ankles or hamstrings succumb to the strain of the second half of the season. West Ham are in the same boat, and with an even more delicate leading man in Michail Antonio. The Hammers failed to sign cover for the Jamaica international for the 3rd consecutive window, seeing approaches rebuffed for Duvin Zapata, Darwin Núñez, Ben Brereton Diaz and Hugo Ekitike last month. Spurs and West Ham largely have the same problem. Both usually play with one up front, and finding a backup of sufficient quality who is prepared to sit on the bench for the majority of games is no easy task, particularly on a budget. At Arsenal, it is a slightly different story, but their January window was still defined by the failure to sign a centre-forward, even as Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang departed on a free transfer at the 11th hour. Arsenal's leading target, Dusan Vlahovic, joined Juventus from Fiorentina, while Swedish striker Alexander Isak also proved out of reach. It is striking that in 5 transfer windows, Mikel Arteta has signed 14 players, including 3 goalkeepers, but not a single forward. This market trend reflects the game's tactical evolution, with Spurs, West Ham and Arsenal among a majority of Premier League clubs predominantly playing with one up top and therefore preferring to use versatile wide forwards as understudies. It is easier to deploy Bergwijn or Jarrod Bowen up front than take a punt on an expensive backup who might flop, like Vincent Janssen or Sebastian Haller. Liverpool have been the best example of making a success of this approach, with a N09 in Roberto Firmino who is competing for a place with the versatile Diogo Jota. And increasingly, there is also the question of whether top clubs really need a top centre-forward at all. Manchester City have barely suffered at all for the loss of Sergio Aguero, and it seems remarkable to think now that there were questions as to whether their failure to land Kane in the summer might cost Pep Guardiola's side the title. Chelsea did manage to land a top centre-forward in the summer in Romelu Lukaku, with the Belgian widely hailed as the final piece to complete Thomas Tuchel's bulging squad. But Lukaku has not solved Chelsea's wastefulness, and, at this relatively early stage of his return to Stamford Bridge, the jury remains out on whether he merits a spot in Tuchel's best side. The rise of Vlahovic and Borussia Dortmund's Erling Haaland, who could be in the Premier League next season, suggest it is too soon to start writing off traditional centre-forwards, but clearly there are fewer in the English top flight than previous eras as clubs trend towards using a different type of focal point. Gareth Southgate, the England manager, is known to be concerned about his shrinking pool of elite English strikers to challenge Kane. Still, Conte has made it clear that the club must buy another striker of a similar level to Kane if they want to compete for honours, and West Ham will have another go at recruiting an Antonio substitute in the summer. For Arsenal, Aubameyang's departure means that a forward is now unequivocally the next big purchase of Arteta's project, which they can scarcely afford to get wrong. With plenty of competition, but seemingly fewer obvious targets than ever before, it will be intriguing to see where each club ends up.